to have to be enrolled full-time at a 2-year, 4-year accredited college or university, with the exception at this opportunity was the Indian Motorcycle Vocational Trade School. So that is geared more towards the, geared towards certification and licensure, again, within specific careers, such as like welding, automotive, things of that. So it's not always just going to be specific majors for those things. And then, yeah, must be enrolled to be a member or descend of a state or federally recognized tribe, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or First Nations. Yeah, I kind of feel like that was pretty straightforward. If there are any questions in regards to, if you'd qualify with that account, please just let us know or reach out to us, and we can help you get squared away with that. And to no one's surprise, being good academic standing, typically for a lot of these opportunities, we're talking at least a 3.0 or higher. But, I think everyone on this team can speak that is not solely the only thing that our partners are looking for. So if you're worried about GPA, I wouldn't fret too much. For some, yes, it is a requirement, but, we'll talk about that. Okay. Every scholarship that you are going to apply for is going to require these documents. So again, back to that tribal verification. It does not have to be a CDIB, because we know that with our tribal nations that ranges depending on how they define, membership within their own communities. But as long as we can have documentation or receive documentation that you are indeed a tribal member, you're good to go on that front. Unofficial transcripts for high schoolers, if you haven't been to college yet, you're not set in college, unofficial transcript or high school transcript will work, as long as we can receive some type of documentation that you're going to continue and to your degree program. You've been admitted, those things. And then your resume. What you've been up to, what have you done, what impact are you having, what experience are you carrying, those things. So yes, please keep these things in mind as you're approaching these things. So far, so good. Any questions, comments, concerns, worries?
Right. Any anxious thoughts, anxious feelings? Let them out right
now.
I know,
and please, it's use the chat and please chime in. I don't want this to just be me up here speaking. So yes. If you have any,
I just have a little thing to say. You can submit an official transcript if you want it, or an unofficial. So it can be official if you have it available. But most times, but unofficial is fine. So it could be official or unofficial.
Yeah. All right. So far, so good. Okay. Now, when it comes to the actual scholarships themselves, so let's say you've collected, a lot of the documentation that you're needing. You're going through AISES. You've gained access to what it is, the scholarships that you're qualifying for. This pretty much, and again, I know this is very general, but we'll have a series in March. And in part 2, I will do a walkthrough of these things. We kind of just wanted to get you guys prepped and put this on your radar for what's to come. But again, cannot stress membership enough. So if you are not a member, would highly, highly, highly recommend that you sign up. It's free. And so like I had stated, a lot of these applications are going to depend on your type of major, your background. So, not every opportunity will be available for you just because our partners, they're seeking or wanting to help specific students with specific types of backgrounds. We have scholarships that are primarily focused focus more on engineering heavy, some that are computer science. So, you know, that's going to range. And again, when we do the walkthrough to AISES, I think that'll be a little more clearer. Every scholarship opportunity that we do have, we require you at least you submit 2 letters of recommendation. You know, I know family can speak to how great you are, and that's amazing, but we prefer them not to be family members. These are going to be, you know, teachers, professors, people within your community that can speak to your impact, both, I think, academically and, yeah, just the impact overall that you have within your community. So, yeah. And again, we'll go a little bit more in depth with this. Yes. Thank you, Anita. Anita just dropped the membership link in the chat. So again, if you're not a member, please sign up. It is free. And the scholarships are going to range with the essays. You know, we have some scholarships really where the questions, there'll be like 2 or 3 questions, I think, that are focusing on, you know, where are you seeing yourself in 5 years? You know, what are you wanting to do with this major, this degree? What impact are you trying to have in that sense? And then some that are maybe more focused on gaming or specific that way on, you know, why are you wanting to get into gaming? Why do you have an interest in this field? It's really going to range. But, you know, if I could offer one little gold nugget for right now, I think, you know, in my experience, what our partners are really getting at is, you know, what impact are you trying to accomplish with what you're doing? Because I think a lot of us come into these fields because we come from all tribal backgrounds and we don't go to school necessarily for just ourselves. We're here because we want to make a difference and because we want to impact, you know, those relationships and that community that we have. And so I think the more you can draw that out and kind of dig deep to present that, I think it really is super impactful. So, gold nugget for now. put that in the back of your mind, please. And yeah, like Dr. Pula had mentioned, the applications are open right now. They've been open since December 15th. And, you know, they're going to go until April 30th. So, yeah, you have from now until April 30th to get all of that material in that we've talked about. And again, I don't want you to be super overwhelmed. Because it is overwhelming. You got a lot going on, family, personal stuff, classes, whatever you got going on. It's a lot. But I do want to assure you, you know, we have an entire team here, you know, that is here to support you. Waden says, I have a question. I lived in a rural area for my early life. I could make a difference due to that. Now being in college, what are ways I could be able to be considered for scholarship that require changes within a community? I think, and Anita and Johnny, please chime in. I think, you know, my mind goes to, you know, I think creating community too. Community may not always look like where you've come from, but it also can look like, you know, what you're specifically implementing where you're at. And it's going to look different for everybody. You know, when I talk about community, I'm not necessarily meaning, you know, everybody per se, because some of us do come from smaller communities or have, you know, close personal relationships that we think of in those respects. So those are my initial thoughts. Johnny, Anita, I don't know if you have any any thoughts.
Waden, could you go ahead and put in the chat your, you know, your name, your tribe, what college you are attending, or what your profession is, and we could possibly better answer your question, I think. But yeah, I think JJ had a great response there. All of the things he said you should consider.
I just want to add on to that is that, so Waden, I think the question oftentimes is kind of like, what could you do like for your community? Like, what are some of the changes you could do? So some of it you may, you know, it doesn't like kind of matter where you grew up, but I think a lot of times the scholarships, they want to see that you want to contribute to that community, like after you get your degree. So the question is kind of like, in the future, what could you do if you received your degree, let's say in engineering, what could you do to support and provide to better your community? So I think the question is related to that. So I would think of it in that way. So if you haven't made any changes, like a lot of, young people, they haven't made, they haven't had that impact yet in the world. But I think the question is like, what could you do, or what do you hope to do, or what are some of the things that inspire you to make those changes within a community? Because we want to, the question is more about like, um, what do you plan to do with your degree, and how can you better the community? That's kind of more of what the question is about. So I think you can kind of just expand on what your goals are and what you hope for with your degree. I hope that helps your question. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, and then Anita, I don't know if you saw, but it's in the chat now. Computer engineering, nice. Yeah, and so, um, like Dr. Pulal said, I think, yeah, expanding on that, I mean, I think that's essentially what I'm getting at. But again, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because, well, we can tease this out. We can, help you in that regard, in that sense. And then just to make sure that, you start your applications. Again, you have from now, you'll hear me saying it like a broken record, until April 30th to get them in.
And
Yeah, I wanna,
Wayden, oh yeah,
go ahead.
I noticed you're at Fort Lewis. I was wondering if you are a part of the AISES chapter there. Well, yeah, he is. I think if you, whenever they have their meetings, if you were to have a discussion with your peers, the same question that you posed, they may have a more, I would say, direct answer with more specific things that you could do right now in your community that would help you to be considered for scholarships that require change in your community.
Yeah, the ACES chapter, they do a lot of, most ACES chapters do a lot of stuff within their community, and that's part of kind of the goals of the chapters. So like Anita said, that would be that would be a good way to start, or to do something in your community there where you're at in Durango. I also wanted to share something, but I hope this is okay with JJ. But in the past, for students who needed help with essays, if they wanted to, they could, you can ask me if you want, as well. But if it's ahead of time, we allow the students in the past to like submit their essay drafts, and we could look it over and like give you some critiques and some tips, and then we'll send it back to you. But I must say that this has to come definitely before the deadline. We can't do it like the day of the deadline or the day before, because we're busy too, and we would need to have some time. So I will definitely say that if you needed help from me, I could definitely look at it. I don't want to put JJ on the spot or Anita on the spot, but I'm sure they'd be happy to help you all too. But that's something we've done in the past. So if you're unsure of an essay, or your response, you're more than welcome to submit it to one of us, and then we could look it over and just to make sure that you're on the right track and give you some tips, and then we can send that back to you to give you some advice. But like I said, it definitely has to come before the deadline. We can't, if you submit it to us like the day before, we're not sure if we could get it back to you in time. But that's something that we could definitely do to help you and support you. JJ is super awesome. So is Anita. My whole team is. We all are very supportive, and we want the best for all of you. That's why we wanted to have this webinar, to support all of you. So definitely come to us if you need help. And that's one of the ways we could do that.
No, and I 100% echo everything that Johnny has said. I definitely have like students that'll email, asking for advice on things here and there. But that's why we're here, essentially, is because, like I said, we want you guys to succeed on whatever it is that you're pursuing because, and not to be all cheesy, but I mean, you guys are like the next generation. You guys are the ones coming into these fields, and you guys are the ones, you know, um, going to have to endure it all. And we've been through that process or in that process, so we understand a little bit how overwhelming and challenging it can be. And so, yes, anything from, your essays, feedback on that, or, just advice or recommendations. That's why we're here.
Hey,
So,
sorry, I'm
uh,
sorry to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
Um, I just want to kind of brag on my team. So I will say Dr. James Wagnon is a recent doctor. So he got his PhD in May or this past summer. And also, so he definitely knows about deadlines and scholarships and writing essays. And Miss Anita is currently a college student. So she's nearing her completion. So she's also very well aware of how to do scholarship applications and write. And so they're both awesome. So they're both recently or still in college. And I'm older, but I still remember how to do stuff. But I just wanted to point that out because I
Yeah.
think that
Thank
their
you for
perspectives
that.
are very great.
And I'm older too. I just, had a lot going on in my life, graduating high school, the drama. But no, um, yes. I just forgot what I was going to say. Oh, go ahead, JJ. I'm so sorry.
I'm sure it was going to
Oh,
be
I'm
great.
sorry. I
Whatever.
remembered it.
Go for
I
it. Go
remembered
for
it.
it.
On the essays, I know that whenever you're writing just one essay, you really overthink yourself and you second guess yourself of how to sound. What do they want to hear from me? And I urge you to be yourself in that. I've heard Dr. JJ before say just let it splatter all out and then you can kind of hone in on what direction you're trying to go with it, but just be yourself. Try to let your true self come through in that essay, and the overseers, the reviewers, they'll be able to hear that. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Just dropping all kinds of gold nuggets tonight. I'm telling y'all. Yeah, so I think that's great advice. And again, we are going to have webinars and series over these things. We'll go more into detail with all of this. So don't feel like, you know, if you have a million and one questions and you're there will be more. We kind of just wanted to, yeah, brief you guys on this. So when Anita and I were putting this together, we were looking at this slide and we were just like, dang, this is just like boom, 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 right? But unfortunately, there are things that we have to, we have to address and we do have to talk about because it does happen. So first things first, right? Parents or guardians are not allowed to fill out applications. Again, I know that support and all those things are great, but when we're talking about FERPA laws, um, it gets a little dicey. And FERPA being the educational law that specifically says that we can't release, any educational information of you guys. So, and that's a lot, and we deal with that a lot between transcripts, things with your college to and from. It's a lot of information and data and things that have to be protected, and this falls under that. So, yes, I cannot tell you how many times we have parents that'll call and ask if they can check on so and we're like, can't do that, FERPA. So, the OASIS email, when we cross that bridge, must be the student's email. Again, I think this kind of ties a little bit back into that first point, right? Well, I've had moms and dads try to sign up for the kids, and that just isn't gonna, it won't work. And a lot of times it's very obvious when it's happening, and we have to, yeah. um, and just being aware that we have the right to rescind a scholarship award, and that Man, those situations vary greatly. Um, but yeah, Johnny, I don't know if you want to say more about that, but yeah, that I mean that just I feel like that's more case by case, um, depending.
No, no, no. You got it. Yeah, as much as we want to give you all these funds and we want to provide these scholarship opportunities for you, we do have to follow rules and we do have to follow FERPA guidelines like JJ had mentioned. Um, Also, too, a big part of this is we want it to be fair for our students. If a student's parent is filling out everything for them and doing everything for them, that's not really fair to everybody else who has to do everything, on their own. So that's another big part of it too. But yeah, we definitely need, we cannot violate FERPA laws. We can get fined. There's some big repercussions from that. And so we do everything we can to weed out and just prevent those applications from happening. Um, I would just say, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just for parent, and it's probably mostly for the parents. For the parents, I know you definitely want to help your students and your kids, and I have nieces and nephews, and I want to help them as much as I can too. But this is one area where definitely the student has to do this on their own. Um, Also, too, if they learn how to do it, they can do it the next year and the next year because they're going to be filling out scholarship applications for a long time. So it's better that they learn it how to do it on their own. Part of going to college is just becoming an adult and you're learning how to do these things on your own. And this is one big area that you definitely need to let your student grow and develop these skills and learn how to do these things on their own. I know it's tough sometimes. You want to be there for them, and you can still support them, but yeah, this is something that, um, yeah, has to be done by the student.
Yes, and connecting back to that second point about the emails, another reason why we need you to stay on top of your profile and emails. Y'all, I live in Muskogee and there's a train going by right now. So shout out to BNSF. um, anyway, but another reason was why, because we want you guys to stay updated on your profiles and those emails. Because I think, as Anita is seeing with this renewal that we're doing, we're going to have to reach out, whether it's through your email, phone calls, and texts. Because we make every effort, again, to make sure that you guys are have your documents in, that you're supported, everything in those sense. I've gone as far because sometimes I know like people move, things change. I've had to go as far as like going back to old resumes and tracking old emails down, or phone calls or whatever numbers, to make sure that you guys have that. So that's another reason why. And we do all of our communication through the OASIS portal. So anytime you're notified of a change of your account, we send out bulk emails. Anytime something moves, or if there's documentation missing, or if there's you've been notified of an award. um, we do all of that through our OASIS portal, and that, yeah, is our primary way of contacting you guys. So please, 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 please stay on top of those emails, phone calls, and texts. So, and then last, oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, JJ. I just want to add one more thing on the email part. This is mostly for the high school students. I don't know if we have any high school students, but I know we have a high school counselor here. Be sure to tell your students that if when they apply, not to use like their high school email address, because what happens is once they graduate high school, they're most likely not going to have access to those email addresses again. Even for college students, when you graduate college, you may not always get to keep your university address. So my suggestion for emails is to get like like a Gmail account and use that email for all scholarships because like I said, we email students, like JJ was saying, we definitely want you to have this money. But if you don't respond to us, and because maybe you're using an old email or that account expired, we have no way of getting in touch with you. And you have a big some of these scholarships are pretty big, so you're going to miss the opportunity if you don't respond to us or we can't get in touch with you. So definitely use I would say a good email, reliable email that you're going to use for the future, because we definitely will go back to that. So sorry, JJ, I just wanted to put that in there.
No, I mean, I can't stress it enough. Yes. Stay on top of your emails because, yeah, that constant communication is key. And then also being respectful of the dates, where I think for the most part, we try really hard to meet those deadlines and we try really hard to have everything submitted because I think there's a lot, that our students and ACES community doesn't see on the back end. And so, we're always trying to stay on top of those things. And so you help us by staying on top of those dates. And also, we just don't want you to miss any opportunities. Like Johnny said, if, maybe you're needing help with reviewing an application or an essay or something like that, we need time because we're very busy over here. And so we would love to make time for those things. So just be mindful of those dates. And speaking of dates, okay. So like I said, the scholarships are opened now, and they'll close on April 30th. This is having all of that documentation that I had covered, all the essay questions, prompts answered. Letters of rec, we give a week for those just because we also understand that teachers, professors, and we're all busy. So as long as you can get that essay and those documents in by April 30th, you're good. Typically, we start the review process following this guideline because that's when we do the rollout and payout notifications within the summer, going into August. Yeah, and then there's a couple more instructions with like post acceptance, but I kind of feel like we can cover that on the next series. I think right now we just wanted to make sure that we got you guys covered and prepped for these. Anita, Johnny, I don't know if you have. Oh, good.
Yeah, I want to say JD's talking about the deadlines and the dates, which is super important. But I also want to reiterate, like like he's gonna come, like he definitely wants you to have these. But also keep in mind, JJ has deadlines too. So like ACES, we have deadlines that we have to like notify the funder, and we have to get them into our payment system so we can get you the payments out into our so you can have the money. So JJ has deadlines as well. And so when he's waiting on a student, like for one of you, you're holding up a lot of other people's payments, other students' payments. So you don't want to be that student. You don't want to be that person. But I just want to let you know, like, this is why we're so adamant about our deadlines, just because we have like a set schedule. And if we're behind, it throws everything off. So JJ is definitely right. He's going to come after you, and Anita's going to come after you for those things that they need. But they're not being mean. Like they also have deadlines, and so I just want to say they both do. They're going to be after you if you don't. So please get your things in on time because it helps everyone. It doesn't just help us process them, but you're helping all of the awardees because we do our payments all at the same time. And if we're waiting on someone, then you're holding up everybody else. So please pay attention to deadlines.
And I would absolutely say that shout out to Anita. We're tag team in this round because there are days when I'm like, all right, I've emailed, so and so. I'm like, your turn, and we're not getting it knocked out. So absolutely, yes, please stay on top of those deadlines
And
and
not
things.
and not to be too scary, but if JJ and Anita have tried everything they can and they still don't have something for you from you, we will move on to the next person because there's other people that have applied. So we will move on to the next person to give them the funds. So I don't mean to scare you. I just mean to be like, you get your things in and pay attention to your emails because it's right. Like if we have to give this money out and you're not responding, we will give it out to someone who does respond.
And it has happened. So yes, get your stuff in. Okay. Um, yeah, so I'll kind of pause there. Does anybody have any questions about any of this so far? Again, Anita and I, and the team just wanted to use this as a moment to kind of brief you on like, hey, here's some resources, here's some tools you're going to need. Um, any question on those things so far? Y'all are like, it's late, I'm hungry, let's wrap this up.
Where's the
I
gift
heard there's a
cards? Come on
drawing.
with it.
Yeah, I heard there was a drawing. No worries. Okay, so I was going to say, like I had said earlier, if you're worried or anything about everything from organization, because this is a lot of information, like I said, letters of recommendation, specifically, how do you write, quote unquote, a good essay. Just wanted to share this because this is what we'll be covering coming up. I'll do a little bit more of a walkthrough, I think, next time. Anita, when is that date? I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I think it's like March. Well, the next time I'm on.
March 26th. I'm sorry. I had
March
to pull up the
26th.
document.
No, you're
Yeah, March
fine.
26th.
I'll do a little bit more of a walkthrough and kind of show you guys like the process of those things. But again, please get connected with us through Facebook, Instagram, sign up as an AISES member because we'll definitely be sending those opportunities out on email. And again, we will have a webinar series and workshops over these things. If you're worried about essays, we got you covered. If you're worried about, your letters of rec, get you covered. How are you staying organized? Giving yourself grace throughout the process, managing stress, all the above. So, don't know if Anita or Johnny have anything else to share.
I think you've covered it all, JJ.
Rochelle had a question in the email in the chat. She asked if AISES has any scholarships for part-time students.
Unfortunately, no. Our scholarships are for our students that are full-time and in STEM. Are you an undergrad or grad, Rochelle? If it's easier, you guys could. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I know at most institutions, 12 hours is considered full time. So, yeah, unfortunately not. Yeah, our scholarships are for our full time students. I think, and Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong. I think, yeah, these are usually the time and days that we found that have been pretty
Yes,
good
we
for everybody.
yeah, based on student survey data from our last webinar series, they said Wednesdays at 6 p.m. is the best time for them to hang out for about 30 minutes to an hour. So we picked the last Wednesday of each month for this spring.
And then I think they're all, and if you happen to miss it, yeah, and they're recording these as well. And so, Carolina, if you're not able to make it at that time, I'm sure they'll share it out with the ACES community as well. Awesome. Anybody else? Yeah. And Johnny's is in, oh,
That's a good question.
so Waden asks, how many letters of recommendation do I need from a professor? Also, does the professor have to be in the STEM field? No, the professor does not have to be in the STEM field. And it'll be, you need 2 letter recommendations total. So it'd be 1 from that professor and 1 from another one, say. Yeah. As long as I get, oh,
Oh, they don't both have to be from a professor. Like, we could have other
no.
people.
Yeah, as I think we said, just as long as it's not, what is it, family members? What's the
Right. Right.
So yeah, like Wade, like I said earlier, I mean, it can be, I've had people, not only professors, but people from, maybe organizations that they've been involved with for a while. It's really, again, I think anyone that can to speak to your strengths. Yeah, and just writing a good letter of rec. But no, that does not have to come directly from a professor and that professor does not have to be in STEM. Awesome. Was going to share. So Anita had put it in the chat, but I was going to include it here as well, just in case you're on your computer and you have your phone and you're wanting to scan. But it's the survey that Anita had posted in the chat, was just to make it a little bit easier for you. Dr. Johnny Pula had put all of our emails in the chat. So again, if there's anything that we've covered that you're wanting to, yeah, that you're just needing help with, please reach out. That's our contact information. And I also just wanted to share this real quickly. Give me a second. So if you go, oh, can everyone see this? Yes. Okay. So if you go to our website, so aces.org/scholarships, a lot of this information that we just covered will be on the website. And so if you're wondering about all those opportunities that, we had mentioned, they'll be here, highlighted here, where you can apply. Again, just highlighting those requirements, touching base on the timeline there, checklists and requirements, some of our partners that we're working with. And if there's anything we have not covered, there's also an FAQ down at the bottom. And then one more thing. So if you kind of feel like I got to hang on this, I'm ready, I know what I need. Let me go. This link right here, this is the Access AISES portal. If you make a profile, or maybe you already have a profile, this is where you go for the eligibility. So you'll fill in your information, some of those background informations that we had talked about, and this is where it'll link you to those opportunities on the AISES website, to which scholarships that you can apply for. And yes, but again, absolutely don't feel like you have to start now, or get it all done right now. I mean, definitely start now. But yeah, you have our contact information. So if there's anything we can do to help you with those things, please let us know. When I come back on again, I'll do a walkthrough of what this is going to look like on the site. As far as navigating it, what does that look like for eligibility? How do you actually even open the application and apply? What information are we going to be requesting? All those fun things. So, all right. Anita, Johnny, I don't know if you have any last words.
Not really. Just thank you, JJ, very much for all of that extremely useful information. And I know your next webinar presentation is going to be even more fulfilling and useful. I think navigating the scholarship application process is definitely scary, especially if you're, trying to fill out multiple scholarships to stack, to make sure you get through college without any type of financial burden. So thank you for that. Thank you for your expertise, and we appreciate you. I guess if Dr. Go ahead, Dr.
Oh, just one little tip is that when you're doing these applications, remember you can save your work, save your essay responses, save a lot of your information, because you can use the same information on multiple applications, especially our AISES applications. Like JJ had mentioned, like we ask questions, a lot of times they're the same questions. So make sure when you complete one essay response to save it for your other applications. Because you did the work, you're just applying it to different applications, and that's totally fine. And that goes not only for AISES scholarship applications, but for all scholarship applications. I think it's a lot of work to do applications, but I would say think smart about it and like conserve your time and just save your responses like in a folder, and that will help you. So you're not doing the same thing over and over. Like if you already have the information, you can just copy and paste.
Okay,
Um,
you
wait,
guys got-
wait, Wayden had one last question, but we don't have one regarding undergrad research. I do believe JJ, maybe correct me, but does Cobell, is that just for grad school?
Yeah, the Cobell, yeah, no, that would be just for grad school with the research that they have over there. But specifically for us at AISES, we don't have a scholarship, um, yeah, for undergrad research. Great question, though.
if everybody's ready, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get this raffle wheel going.
The moment we've all really been waiting for. Our mine
I
and
do
Johnny's
ask.
name on it. Dang.
Oh, yeah, I know. I do ask that whoever the winner is to stay on just for a minute so that I can get your address to know where to mail your gift card to.
Your screen, Anita, or not? Or not?
Can you see my screen? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Can
it's
you
just
guys
not.
see
There
that?
it is. There it is. There it
Yep.
is.
Okay, sorry. All right. Let me move this over here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
you're good.
Okay. We'll shuffle it a few times. And then we'll click to spin. Looks like it's Wayden. Congratulations. All right, you guys. I will definitely send out our next month's webinar. It will be over a health career exploration. We'll have, one or more professionals in the healthcare field realm to share their journey with you and, kind of what they had to do, steps they took, and things of that nature. So if you're interested in that, be looking out for that email. And keep checking our events page too. We have a lot of programs at AISES that can support you in your educational journey and your path and whatever it is that you're going to deem to be successful to you as a person. Thank you guys very much for joining. And any last words from anybody?
And thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Wait and stay on, would you? And everybody else, have a great night. And I hope to see you next month.
All righty. Good night.
Thank you.
Don't forget to pause the recording.